Okay, I'm going to talk about scientific thinking and how we can connect science and social science, or science and social studies. First, let's start with the definition of science. Briefly, what science is a way of checking an idea to make sure it's true. It's coming up with theories that you can use to make reliable predictions about the future, especially theories that produce useful predictions that matter to you. Social science is using methods or scientific processes to study people, relationships, how they interact, things like that, and how they change over time. So the difference is what they study. It's what they study, not how they study it. Social science studies people, cultures, families, things like the differences between marriage ceremonies across cultures, things like that. So it's not about how they do it, it's about what they're studying. Science is more about the world. They want to understand things other than just people. Within each are a lot of different things. My favorites are probably biology and physics, and astronomy. But there's lots of parts of science or kinds of science, and then there's smaller parts of each. Social sciences deal more with human relationships. Education, I hope, jumps out at you. That's a social science. Anthropology, human culture and how it's changed over time. Economics, we'll definitely study that a lot in this class, but it's about the decisions people make about resources. History is a special case. Some people think it's a social science. Some people think it's too much opinion. Psychology is something that could be either a science or a social science, but usually gets called a social science because it's about the way people think. Keep in mind, they change. People argue about them. Things like xenobiology was invented to describe the way that life might develop on other planets. The internet changed education, and people think that online education should be studied separately and differently than teaching in a regular classroom. And that sometimes they overlap. Chemistry and physics both talk about atoms and molecules. What do they have in common? They both depend on the same kind of process or method, which we'll talk more about. Social studies is invented about 100 years ago. It's a way of doing social sciences with civics or citizenship added. Technically, the Constitution isn't an obvious social science thing. It's related to political science, but it's about our government. That's called civics. In college, they don't do social studies. They do social science. So to sum all this up, science and social science want to develop theories that can make useful predictions. That's the point. The difference is not what they do, but what they study. And social studies is kind of like social sciences plus civics. That's it. Thank you.